Hello, everyone. Welcome to my weekly live show. I'm Fabiana Clore, pianist and business strategist for musicians. I'm the founder and CEO of the Musicians Profit Umbrella Business Mentorship Program, where we help musicians create financial and artistic prosperity so that they can win back their time, increase their rates, and build a lasting legacy without sacrificing their artistic dreams, family life, or self care. I'm excited to show up today and share some really important tips for musicians to stand out online. Today, we're going to talk about three key strategies that help musicians understand how to create an online brand and stand out in a way that sets them apart and really helps attract people to their unique set of skills. So, the first thing I want to talk about is integrating your life story into the work that you do. We are experts in our fields and we understand the benefits of what we do, but we oftentimes forget to understand why we do what we do. And our number one job in building an online presence as musicians and creatives is to help people understand not just what we do, but what led us to want to build this business. What were the events in our life story that allowed us to become interested in serving in a particular way? What did we experience? What part of our lives define us who we are now and have given us those perhaps abilities to overcome obstacles, to overcome challenges? What were those like? Because chances are when we had to overcome certain hardships, certain challenges, we had to learn skills that we can now use to help others overcome the same or similar challenges. So instead of just talking about, I help people overcome these challenges, you want to help people understand what is it about your story that makes you uniquely qualified to help people overcome these challenges. Okay. So that's one of the first things you want to think about as you are building your business is don't just talk about what you do, talk about why and talk about which part of your life has given you this insight and this unique perspective so that you can now help others. People want to know why you do, not just what you do. So that's the first tip in terms of building an online presence that can stand out online. The second strategy I want to discuss is being visible, allowing yourself to be seen in an authentic way. There's no doubt that the online space can seem extremely saturated and that there's so many different people doing different things. And we can oftentimes be looking at what others are doing and think that we need to emulate that and do it in the same way. And while it's totally fine to learn from people who are ahead of you and who are doing things in a specific way that you want to learn from, you always have to make sure that the content you create and the way you show up is truly who you are. You want to be authentic, especially if, as a musician, you have any hesitation with building an online presence and becoming visible. If there's any part of this that makes you feel icky, that you're like, I don't know if I want to be seen in this way, I don't know if I want to start showing up and letting the world see me and kind of know more of the behind the scenes of what my framework is, what my values look like. If there's any part of you that is hesitant, it's because you may be feeling that you need to do this as someone else. You may have seen, and I've had so many conversations with musicians who have told me, I don't want to become visible because I've seen how other people do it and it's not my vibe. I just don't connect with that and I don't want to do it in that way. So the good news, as I share this tip number two, is that you don't have to. You don't have to do it like anyone else. You can be yourself. And actually, the more authentic you are in the process of building your brand, of showing up and creating content and building your story and your presence, the more you're going to enjoy the process. And if you enjoy it, people will enjoy it too. And if you enjoy it, you'll have the motivation to do it on a regular basis. So that's the first ingredient in this number, is in this second step, is that be yourself. Allow yourself to be seen fully for who you are and share your perspective, share your beliefs. Let people see the real you and not just your credentials, your accomplishments. Really let people know who's the human being behind the expert, right? Behind the person, the master, whoever this person you're trying to showcase as an expert and someone who you want to hopefully display as someone who can magnetize ideal clients. Remember that people want to also see who the real person is behind all of that. So that's tip number two, is be authentic. And tip number three is be consistent. When it comes to building an online presence, we need to aim for being consistent rather than being perfect. And this is a hard thing to do because as musicians, oftentimes we want to be in this perfectionistic mode of wanting to perfect and polish and polish and polish instead of deciding to say, you know what, I'm just going to show up and do it. And sometimes you may have the most profound content and pieces of materials that you've put together in a brilliant way. And others, it's more about just connecting with people and keeping that nurturing going. So not to take yourself too seriously in a way that will detract your consistency and your pace and will take away your momentum. Just know that in this case, you want to just make sure that you show up on a regular basis, depending on which is your platform of choice. The more you show up, the more you are visible and consistent in the eyes of your community, of your potential clients, the easier it'll be for people to relate to what you're doing, to be ready to work with you when you're able to introduce something. This is really in a matter of consistency. Becoming an online musician, building an online brand is not so much about perfection as it is about consistency. So it'll be really interesting to see as you're watching this what ideas you're coming up with as it relates to creating your systems for applying these three things. Again, number one is integrating your story into the work that you do, letting people understand why you're doing what you're doing and what parts of your life have led you to where you are now so that they get just not just what you're doing, but the context of that service, that program, whatever it is you're trying to enroll people in. And number two, being authentic, making sure that people get to know who the real person is behind your vision, behind the work that you're bringing into the world, and just finding your true voice, not trying to be anyone else. Even though you can learn from others, but always looking into how does this sound to me, and how can I show myself authentically. And number three, to be consistent and create that content on a regular basis so that people get used to your presence, you become familiar, you develop that know, like, and trust factor, which is a very well established principle that relates to what people need in order to be ready to buy with you. You can't focus only on creating your offers and presenting them. You have to nurture your community. You have to show up on a regular basis, have a variety of strategies in which you create content. Some of it is going to connect more, others is going to be more share your credibility, others going to be about more personalized your story, your human element, your values, your beliefs. There will be a variety of ways that you can show up. You don't always have to show up in the same way with trainings, but you can show up, with windows of your life, sharing different periods of what you're going through on your day-to-day experiences, both related to your work as well as not, and just letting yourself be seen on a regular basis. And not just because of a business strategy, not just because I'm asking you to do it, but really because you want it to be as part of your creative process as it is playing an instrument. Just as we look forward to sitting down on an instrument and polishing our craft and using our creativity to improve as musicians, I want you to see the process of building your online brand and building your online presence as a creative one as well, as a craft in and of itself that you need to focus on nurturing and strategizing on a regular basis. And that actually becomes an exciting part of your business development process. So, in this way, you have the perfect recipe for success because you're excited about what you're doing, you're showing up authentically, you're doing it consistently, and you're giving us a window into your real human essence and not just the services that you provide. So if you follow these three strategies, I guarantee you're going to have a great time building your online presence, learning how to stand out. And if you've already been building a presence and have been struggling to find a new way of doing it, maybe refreshing your strategies, I think these are going to be very helpful for you as well. So let me know in the comments if this is helpful, what ideas come up for you. Very excited to connect with you every week at 1 o'clock here and looking forward to hearing what you have to say. Thank you for watching, and let's prosper together.